Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here. Just a little background for myself. My name is Fabian Lim, and I'm actually located in Canada. And I've been working with Jira for almost 10 years. And I've been a system admin for 5+ years, and also doing an agile transformation and helping all these scaled agile teams getting used to the agile way to do things. And as most of you probably are, you were thrown into Jira. You don't really train too much. I started as a contractor, and within the 6 months, you're like, okay, you are going to be a Jira admin. I'm going to create reports. And of course, once you play with the out-of-the-box experience, is not as good with Jira. So that's when we were looking at other applications such as eazyBI or Structure or rich filters. But today I'm going to show you one of the projects that we built, which is our project portfolio management solution. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide here. So this is a high-level blueprint, and there's two things that we wanted to help our executives and team members. The first one was how to manage demand management when new concepts or new ideas come in, right? The old way was usually emails, spreadsheets, and then they will do analysis, and it just lives in different inboxes. And it was really hard to understand how a concept that comes in becomes an actual project. So that's one component. And the other business problem that I wanted to solve was the fact that when you're doing reporting for executives, usually the project managers will spend hours, right? They spend an hour trying to get the deck ready, and then the next day it's already outdated. So we wanted to have a real-time reporting solution so that any changes that happen at the project level and also at the lowest level, which is like a task or a story, the executives will know what is happening. Okay, so this is the high-level blueprint. So what the solution that we built it with a Atlassian solution partner called Blended Perspectives. And of course, I was working with the telco communication company, which is 20,000 users. And we had a budget of like $1.5 million for Jira, which is a lot of money. So we could do a lot of things. Okay, so let me start with this. Okay, so the first part is demand management, which is when someone enters a new concept, a new project or idea, and we want to capture that information so that we can determine whether we're going to continue with that project or not. So we built a portal, and the portal that we used was Jira Service Management. So we combine insights, asset management for some of the dynamic filtering, and every single project that was new will go through the intake. So we had around 8 or 9 business units, so everything that goes in will be assessed properly. With Jira Service Management, we also had the PMO knowledge base. So as you know, in JSM, you can enter some questions and they will pop up with articles and help as well. Then we had the project intake, and this is where the engagement management teams, they will review the requests, they will prioritize and approve all the projects that are strategically aligned to the business. And they will track all the costs for the estimates, how much would be labor costs, and also whether we're using vendors or not. So all that was done within JSM and a combination of Jira software. Okay, so the next component is the portfolio management part. So in the beginning, when a ticket comes in, we call it a concept, right? So it's an idea. But once that concept is approved by management, then it becomes a project record, right? And the project record will capture information such as what the project is doing, project statuses, project financials, and we will use that information to report with eazyBI. Within that project record, we're tracking PMO gates, so gate 1 to 6, so when you get initial funding and all the way to delivery and the launch stage as well. And then for project management delivery, since all the teams were already using Jira software for sprint planning and Kanban boards, and some other projects were doing tasks, and other teams were using MS Project, which is pain, right? So they had their own spreadsheets. So there's no real consolidation information. So what we did, we brought Big Picture. I don't know if you know that, but it's a great tool for visualizing activities for waterfall projects. So we combine big picture and Jira software and we put it together so that there's no more need of MS Project. There's no more need of having spreadsheets. Everything is going to stay in Jira. Okay, so then we had executive reporting. So once you have all the projects approved, then we have portfolio. Each business unit will have a portfolio. And from the portfolio, you can see all the projects that are under that. And you could roll up all the costs, roll up the statuses of each project. And then the executives will have a nice view. And we use a little bit of Jira, big picture for that, and also eazyBI. But then at the bottom, you can see that real-time reporting, we focus mostly on eazyBI, right? And I'll show you why we did that, because there's a lot of reports that eazyBI provides, and the customization that it brings, it's so helpful, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. Okay, so a few things. We had executive dashboards for demand management, and also for program and project status reports. Real-time dynamic reports, so you can click filter, and then it comes up with another categorization. And then one of the features I love the most is the deal through report details from the dashboards. Okay. All right, so let me share what this looks like, because I'm saying a lot of stuff, but hopefully this will explain a bit more of how the solution works. So let me show you a quick demo. So it's 3 minutes, and explain a little bit more of how everything's working. Okay. So the first thing we'll see is the intake, which is JSM, and we combine insights for some of the tracking. So here's where every concept becomes a new idea. So here they fill out the information, and that's insight. So basically, depending on the selections you have earlier, the options will change accordingly as well. So here you set the dates, the sponsors, when you gave one date, if you're in a waterfall project. And then you have the ticket created in JSM. So now it goes to the engagement management team, which they will assess. So this is, they take the concept idea to the approval. So each engagement manager has different business units, which they have different support teams, and they will assess, get all the estimates, the costs. As you can see, it moves across the Kanban board to make sure that the project is accepted. So here you set the cost, the complexity, and then you get the project to gate one, where they do the CAV governance recommendations, and then they approve it. Okay, so this is a concept. So once the concept is approved, then it becomes a project record, right? So now you bring your project to your portfolio, and then you assign a project manager, which will be assigned a Jira project, and will track all the activities. So for each project record, you can move it across to different gates. So gate 1 to 6. So gate 2 this is when you actually get the project approved, and now you're going to start planning. You will see traffic lights that is a specific plugin that we use for tracking colors and statuses. And this is big picture, right? So every single plan will have that, and you can select and schedule activities and dependencies. And all the information here, it goes up all the way to the project record that I was mentioning. Okay, we also did risk management. So every project has a risk issue type, and with big picture, you can visualize and move risks around. And this is the portfolio views. So every portfolio unit or business unit will have a portfolio, so you can open up a program, and under the program, you have all these different projects that build up the cost and statuses. And this is eazyBI, some of the reports that we used. So yeah, one of the greatest features, it drill through details. And then we also had the Gantt views, so we can see when launch dates are and whether there's collisions within other projects based on their statuses. So it's at the constant system now, their projects or the program, so you can see which the red, green, or yellow, and executives could just click on red, and then they know the projects that need assistance. And then we track badges and all that stuff here. Okay. All right. So why did we choose eazyBI for PPM? So I came up with 3 items. The first one was because of the customized reports. So we had lots of reports like table, bar, line charts, gauge charts, Gantt charts to track project status and financial information. So the great thing about eazyBI is that it brings has everything, right? Some other plugins, they have just one aspect, but eazyBI brings all of it together. We have complex filters where you have business units, you can filter by status, and now with a great feature with the non-empty solution, that makes lives much easier. So I'm really glad that that's out. Of course, now they drill into and through for more details, and then the hierarchy reporting. So there's a lot of hierarchy reporting applications like Structure, which is great. I love that application as well. But in some cases, you may not have the budget to buy all these apps. So if I had to buy one app that has everything for reporting, would be eazyBI, right? Because it's well priced and it's easy if you want to do easy reports, but it also gives you the flexibility to make really complex reports. And that's when you need to contact support for additional help, or go to the community online site. Okay. The other great thing about eazyBI is integration. So they talked about integration with Inside Asset Management, with Xray Test Management, Agile, Zephyr, and that is so easy for us, right? Because you just check off the box on the import, and all the information is available. I tried creating reports with Insight out of the box, and I always go in the community and say, don't use that. It's so bad. Like, you have to learn a new language, IQL, which it's complicated, makes no sense to me. So I just use eazyBI, right? Just import, everything's gonna be there. The other advantage of that as well is that within an object, you can pick up an attribute from that object, and also you can report on it, right? So it gives you a lot of flexibility. So in our case, we had a program, you have sponsors, you have the cost. So I could report what the cost was based on the program that was selected on my custom field in Jira. And the greatest reason why I love and I really promote is the excellent support. The training videos that are available are great. All the material is great. The eazyBI community, if you haven't joined, please go there for the first time to get help. And if you really get stuck, then you will go email them and then they'll get back to you. One of the things I appreciate the most is when you talk to some customers or vendors, they give you an answer, but the answer is not what you want, right? But here, every time I ask for something, I got the exact code that I needed to create my report. So I didn't have to worry about, like, maybe I didn't understand 100% of what that meant, but the answer was there and it was working. So the executives are happy, I'm happy, I look good, thanks to the great support, right? And then the excellent essay support, like if you go in the community, the responses are there. When I email Zane or Gerda or Martin, I'll get the answer right away the next day, right? So that's really, I really appreciate that. So if you're looking for a partner or an ad vendor that will help you, eazyBI would be one of the best choices. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of some samples of what we built. So this is what the project record status is. Because in order to create your reports, you need to understand where the data is coming, how you're building the data, and that's what Blended Perspective helped us with, right? Getting the right data, and I was focusing more on the reporting part. So here, this is what a project record status looks like. So you have the business unit using Insight. So based on the business unit, you have a different line of business, right? And then when I was talking about how you have the status of the program, you have costs, right? So all that information is there, and you can pull that in your eazyBI reports, okay? And then we had in here a section, right, for status. So there's overall status. You want to track the percentage of completion, budget status, schedule, scope, and quality. And all those will get reported in eazyBI. Okay, so this is an example. I kind of blur some information, some stuff is confidential. But you can see how we have all the reports here. You have all the filters on the left. You can see which business unit, their sponsors, their overall status, which was used with traffic lights. And I'm going to show you an example how we did that. And then you'll have all the financial information. Okay, so this is traffic lights. I don't know if you used it, but it was great for reporting. But the issue that we had is, I don't know if you can see that, is that it's not, the data is like, you get some bracket things, comma, car set, and then comma, green, right? And if you try to use that in another reporting tool, you couldn't make it work. So we had to use a specific measure, right? So we got the value, and then we use a case one. Then when it says green there, then it's actually green, right? When it's like yellow, 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 whatever. So you understand what I'm saying, right? So once you do that, then you have the value, and then we use conditional formatting to change it, right? So you have min, green, and green. So if it says green, then it will show green, right? So that's how in the previous example we made that yellow, right? Okay, so the other great feature is the hierarchy reporting. So in this case, we had a program, and under programs, there's projects. So in this case, the first one, there's only one project in the programs, which is fine. But in some cases, you may have a program and you have various projects under it. So you can see how each project is performing based on the two projects that are there, for example, and then it builds up to the program. So in our solution, we had automation, right? So if you had projects that had yellow and green, the program will be updated accordingly to the correct status, right? So we used Power Scripts and Jira automation to do a lot of things like that. Okay, so we also did a lot of Agile dashboards, and I think one of the great features is that there are a lot of examples already that you can use from the demo, and you can modify them to meet your needs, right? So the sprint velocity, that's an easy one, but one of the things that we wanted to do was additional delivery, for example. So how many story points were delivered but were not originally planned, right? So that in this example here, we have 33% saying that we delivered more things, but they're not even planned in the beginning, right? So stuff like that, that's what we did. The other great feature that was kind of new in the past year was the templates. So I don't know if you use templates or not, but I was supporting Agile teams, and we have like 30, 40 teams, and they have different reports. And it's a pain, right? Especially if they have different accounts. You add one report, you have to go to every freaking 40 account, add it, copy it, right? But with templates, you set one template, you put the reports, everybody can import, and then you add one new report, and then it expands to all of them once they import. So it's really helpful. So make sure you check that feature out. Okay, and then we did a migration from Zephyr to Xray. And one of the reasons was that Zephyr, they have their own reporting, but it's hard to extract information with JQL. So we did a switch. But Zephyr is great app, by the way. But so this is an example of the Xray Test Plan report. And as you can see, this is great. I mean, you have each test plan. You can see the execution. You can see how many bugs were created. But then our executives wanted something more dynamic, where you can select the test plan, and then it will show you different metrics. Okay, so this is what we did then, right? So now you have the filter at the top, which all the test plans, and you can select the test plan, right? Each test plan will have additional custom fields that were provided. So things like the test plan stage, start and end date, right? Who is a QA senior manager and delivery lead. And then we track things like the percentage completion, right? Based on all the test executions that are assigned. You could track how many tests were completed in a specific day. This is a completed test plan, so everything's 0. But every day you can find out how many issues or defects were found. So this is another extract where you will see the executions for the specific test plan. So you can see the 26 were entered, 10 passed, and 16 were descoped, right? And the percentage of completion. At the bottom, you will see a trend of all the issues or defects that were created on that test plan. So as you can see, it goes up and then it will go lower when there's no more. Okay, so yeah, the great integration with Xray. We had some issues with performance, but we did have we met with Zane, and then she helped us with making sure that the measure was set up correctly, and that helped us a lot with the way reports were loaded. So yeah, it's great that they are willing to help you out and have a meeting and call you. Okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to share for I think it'd be interesting for eazyBI. This is a report that comes from Blended Perspectives, and it's called the MARS report, which stands for Market Analysis Research Service. Oops. And what they're doing, they're categorizing each application in the marketplace, the 4,000 apps that we have, and then they put them in a category. So if you look at this graph, on the left side, you see how many apps are in that category. And at the bottom, you will see the growth of 2021. But the interesting part is the actual category. So in this case, we talk about reporting. So reporting has a growth of 20%. There's around 60 app categories, app vendors, and there's 92,000 installs, right? So the reporting is growing quite a bit. Of course, integration is the biggest one because there's a lot of free apps. It's 30% growth, and there's 253,000 installations. Okay, but the interesting part is this one because they can break it down on the actual vendors. So in this case, it's kind of misleading because the number 1 right now says is table filters and charts for Confluence, which is a great app. But it's not really Jira, it's more Confluence. So the winner here is eazyBI. Yeah, so last year, eazyBI had a growth of 60%, and you had 6,000, maybe 7,000 installs, right? But there's a lot of competition coming up. So if you can see this custom charts for Jira reports, which is from Wall Street. And they had grown 110%, looks like, but they only have like 3,000 customers. But you can see there's a lot of smaller applications for reporting that they want to get into business, but eazyBI, I think, is the top for now. Okay, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I could take some questions if you have any, but feel free to ask.
Thank you very much
Yes.
for joining us. And there is one question from QI in Zoom, and I guess it would be better if you answer live. What challenges did you run into while building and implementing these processes in order to get the data you need for the dashboards?
Well, we needed to understand what each business unit wanted to report to executives, right? And that's a tough question, but we had to basically look at all the reports that they originally had and see if we can bring them to Jira. And of course, sometimes some of the stuff they're reporting is not doable, but we did try our best to make sure that as long as it's tracked as a custom field in Jira, then, or it's some sort of measure or calculation, then we can make sure that it works with eazyBI, for example. Yeah. Go ahead.
So do you use the insight attributes along with the Jira fields as a management reporting, or you have completely separate measures?
We use both. Yeah, so we had the custom fields, which they're part of the Jira import. And then we had other reports that had inside specific object reports. Yeah.
Do you use them as
They had them separate, yeah, because yeah, I don't think we could have put them together back then. Yes. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.